Look at that. This church has a history of over 140 some odd years in existence. And so this is the place, if those doors were open, I was on the inside of it. Like this is my parents had the keys to the church. My grandparents had keys to the church. And often we were the ones who opened the church up for everybody else to get in. This place just has a lot of resonance in terms of what it means to family and having a community that has more than just the common bonds of blood that tie you together, but really having all this history and experience together, both good experiences and bad experiences that help you to understand what it means to operate within a family structure. It doesn't mean that everything will be peachy green and great all the time, but it means that when the chips are down, you know that there's a structure to support you in your weakest state. And I think that that's the thing that's missing in a lot of our communities, is that once a person gets down, those structures that used to support us in terms of community are gone. So when you're down, you're out. Not many of them were farming the way that our grandfather was farming. Like we were farming, you know, we didn't have a couple of rows of anything. Everything was like, that section is corn, that section is peas, that section is peanuts. And then in the wintertime, you know, we transformed to cutting wood. But it was about the community. Right. Yeah. But it was like, you know, we would literally, you know, it's very little of the stuff that he produced he would sell. Even after all the work he put into it, he wasn't putting that work into it to turn a profit. Right. You know, he knew that people in the community had to eat. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of that stuff just went back to the community, and it wasn't something that he had to do. It was something that he felt had to be done, and so he took it that responsibility because that's just the kind of man he was. I think what my grandfather taught me about being a man is that there is a certain level of responsibility that comes with being a man, and there's a certain level of maturity and strength that goes with that. And to me, they were on display at all times. There was not a moment in which I saw my grandfather as anything less than a man. I remember being in the store, the little store that's not far from my house that we've been going to forever. And my grandfather was there. He had took me to the store. I forget what it was about. But I remember being able to read very well. At the age of 5, my father used to have me read him the morning paper. And I remember being in that store, and whatever the transaction that was going on between him and the store owner, which was this, you know, this white guy, when he gave my grandfather the slip of paper to sign his name, I watched my grandfather sign his name, and I realized that that's probably the only thing that he knew how to write. And that moment, as a child, realizing that my hero was probably in some forms illiterate. It wasn't my grandfather. I didn't feel my grandfather had failed, but I thought it was something about the system that has failed, because here's this man that I have the utmost respect for, that I know can do anything, can build anything, can grow anything. You know, he can train anything, he can do anything, and that he was not afforded to me the basic generosities of being able to read and write was really a big change in my life in the way that I saw the structure. I would like to think that he saw something in my father that, even though they came from two very different places, reminded him of something in himself that he valued. And I like to think that those are the things that they passed on to my brother and I. And I would like to think that those are the things that I'll pass on to my son. The black man is history, is the present, and is inevitably the future.